Okay, hello. 11th of September 2024. I haven't streamed for some time. I've had some other things that I needed to sort out, but I am back today. So this is the EU session. We've got about a minute and a half until market open. I have been trading off and on. Last week wasn't the greatest. Had quite a few losing days, but we're pretty much at the same point that we were at. I managed to get some of it back. So same as usual. Had a bit of a pre-market rally in both the DAX and the FTSE. So we'll see what we can make of this session. I have recorded all of my trading. I just need to obviously edit videos before uploading them. So when I have a bit of time, I will do that. Oh, here we go, 10 seconds. Alright, market's open. Was trading the US session last night and the Nasdaq was unreadable. Took an extremely profitable day down to just a reasonably profitable day because of the losses that I sustained in it. It was just stuck in a range for most of the trading session. So far setting up a first bar negative in the FTSE. We still got a bit of time to wait. I've got some pending orders in place. One in the FTSE, GBP USD, Euro USD, and Euro GBP. Market is still a ways off from those orders, but they are there. minutes to go on the first candle. Bit of indecision on this candle so far. Alright, so all likelihood to be looking at a first bar positive in the FTSE, which means we're going to have a sell order underneath the lows of the first candle. So 210, anything below that we're going to look to sell. I'll set up that trade. 40 points is far too much. Let's see what the DAX is when it comes time for aggressive school run. I've been opting not to trade the aggressive in favor of the traditional on the DAX lately, just because I've found that the DAX has been quite rangy at that time. So the traditional has seemed to kind of negate that ranginess. Some news today in America, so I will be trading that. having a look at the dailies. Right, so we're getting close to our full price. Just going to give this a little bit of room, actually. I don't want it to trigger us before going back up and settling into a range. I want the market to kind of prove itself that it does want to go lower here. So if it does, then it'll trigger me in a little bit lower, kind of break past these lows with certainty first. DAX also settling into a range here. Positive, negative, and now positive again. So that's that range that I was saying. When trading the aggressive. That's, in my mind, that's poised to continue to the upside. Just looking at that. However, we never know. So my buy order in the FTSE is all the way down here, and that's basically just a play off of some support, this kind of level here and here. So it's going to be a long-term hold, a longer-term hold, betting that we'll respect the support before moving back up again. So we're swinging the bat on that, but we've got a long way to fall before we get there. Alright, so this is the setup bar for the aggressive. So we're playing some piano here at the moment. But yeah, this is quite a range that's going on here in the DAX at the moment. I'd like to see a break of either the highs or the lows. That's quite a bit of congestion. So that's what we look like on the 15-minute. Printing a bit of a double top here at the moment. Let's see if we get some sellers above. Or if we just break through. So both DAX and the FTSE now starting to rally. Still early. So I think we had a few sellers come in there at this previous high. It's forced it a little bit back down now. Let's see if the buyers come back in. FTSE creating a little bit of a range of its own here. Okay, so about a minute to go before aggressive. Be interesting because the sell side of the aggressive would be essentially selling this double top. Okay, so here comes the aggressive. I think I may just wait for the traditional. Let's see what it does when if it gets back up to these previous highs. Yes, I think I'll wait for the traditional here on the DAX. That's another 7 minutes or so. Yeah, so quite an established range now. Another 4.5 minutes to go before traditional sets up. Aside from that, I'd be interested in a sell at about 317. Hmm. Quite a slow day. Wonder if that's got anything to do with the US in memory of September 11th. Right, so 1.5 minutes until traditional, which coincidentally is at the moment setting up the same levels as the aggressive. We got close to being filled here on the FTSE and then we pulled back a bit, so still waiting on that. Let's swap to the 15-minute. Okay, so 20 seconds to go. I'm going to look at starting to set these up now. It's like I say, it's going to be the same price levels as the traditional. So I'm going to start setting it up. I'm going to give them just a little bit more of a buffer either way. So our low was 3.7. So I'm going to go with 3.5. And our high was 7.1. So 7.5 is good. Is that 7.5? I can't see because my stop loss is in the way. There we go, 7.5 and 3.5 or so. That's good. So we're looking at about a 40-point stop loss here. It's quite big, but let's go a little bit lower. 3.4, that's good. It's just giving it a little bit more buffer so that it doesn't tip me in and take me back into the range. Like I say, I want it to prove itself as to the direction that it's gonna go. Right, so set up. Now we wait. So yeah, looking quite bullish here on the 30-minute. To see which way we're going to break out of this range. We've clawed away from our position in the FTSE. So that could take some time before it actually gets down to our order. But that's okay. There's no time constraint specifically on the first bar positive trade. So even if it's a lot later in the session, I wouldn't take it if it was very late in the day, close to the close of the European markets. We've kind of backed off of that as well now in the DAX. So we're not ready just yet. Ugh, tea's cold. So now just patiently waiting. So I'm just going to look at possible profit-taking levels. Let's say probably around this little bit of perhaps support turning resistance if we do get up there. And then I'd say also above these highs, I would imagine there being some sell orders up there. Corleone Disco Star, hello friend, how are you? Slow day in the markets. Yeah, so pretty much range bound. It's going to be one of those patience games. Pretty well. Oh, that's good to hear, man. That's great. Are you trading today? Yeah, so waiting on a short in the FTSE, and then DAX either way at this point, either short or long. We'll see which way we break out. But it's pretty slow at the moment. So the FTSE is ranging like there's no tomorrow. The DAX, yeah, the DAX I'd like to say is poised to see higher prices, but you never know. So I had a bit of a mixed match of a week, trades wise. Some good winners, then some good losers. You know how it is. I had a stellar trade in the Dow a few nights ago of about 140 points. That was there. That was great as a confidence booster. That was lovely. But then those little losses that start chipping away at it. But I've managed to claw my way back. Yeah, I can't do it on the mobile phone either. My fat fingers will press a button it's not supposed to, and I'll end up in a position I'm not supposed to be in. So I tend to try and stay away from the mobile phone. At the worst, a tablet is okay, but I battle on the mobile phone. Looks as though we might be taken short here. Let's see if we get filled. Got a sneaky suspicion I might be whipped around here a little bit in the DAX. I was nearly going to say the Dow, but just from the looks of this range that it's set up, might get whipsawed. Let's see. Alright, so we've been filled short. We can cancel our buy order for now. I'm going to manage this one relatively aggressively. Because of this range, I will look at flipping the switch along if the short doesn't work out. A nice confirmation if it got below these lows here. Probably look at the retest of the daily lows as a profit area, but still a bit early to be thinking about that. Just pull our position in there. We're looking on the FTSE. FTSE still ranging big time. Yeah, I also had an issue with the mobile phone once before where I was in a position and I was trying to manage it quite closely, and then the signal dropped in the area that I was in, so no internet, and that came back to bite me in the ass. So I've kind of I shy away from trading on the mobile phone. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I know specifically at work you don't always have access to a computer. I suppose it depends on what work you do. But yeah, I'm lucky enough to be able to sit in front of the screens pretty much all day and just analyze. So I'm not trading, then I'm studying trading. Ugh. Alright, so about 9-10 points in profit. I'm just worried about this level here. I'd like it to break quite cleanly of it. I would imagine there'd be some buyers in this area. I'm going to start decreasing the risk a little bit here. When we get to about 20 points, I'll look at break even. In fact, that wouldn't be a bad idea to do now. So I'm going to put stop to break even, risk-free trade. And now just wait and see how much we can get out of it. If we don't get stopped out for break even first. Maybe a little bit premature on that, but yeah, because then that happens. So there were buyers down here, as I was expecting. I'd like to have given that maybe a little bit more time to decide what it wants to do before moving stop to break even, but it's there now, so is what it is. Let's see if we can get a further breakdown here. How's our FTSE looking? No, FTSE's still in the range. So I'd like to see a breakdown back towards the lows. If the sellers can push below cleanly this level here at about 320. Yeah, so meeting a little bit of resistance there. Well, support in fact. Let's see. Okay, so nearly filled on the FTSE as well. Still about 2 points to go. Should be filled now in the FTSE as well. No, not yet. That'll be 208. So I'll keep an eye on it up here on the price at this tab. Looks like we might be out for break even here. Yeah, so break-even trade here in the DAX. Grief, how were we not taken out there? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so break-even on the DAX. A little bit unlucky there. So we tested these lows and we've come straight back up into the range. I'm usually trading the sessions for about 2 hours or so. That's about the extent of what my concentration will allow me. So yeah, 2.5 hours is usually how long I'm online for per session. So once I'm done the EU session, then I'll do a little bit of research and get ready for the US session later on today. So I might look at flipping the switch here if DAX gets back up to previous highs. And FTSE's just stuck in the mud. So the buyers did come in just at the bottom of the range. So this is what makes me a little bit nervous about trading a day like today. It's the normal range play type of trading. So buy the low of the range, sell the high of the range. But I'm a breakout trader, so you never know when that range is going to break. Okay, so getting close to our full on the FTSE again. See if we get some actual movement out of it this time. Yeah. Also just testing the bottom of this range. Grief. This is another setup in about 40 minutes or so. No, allow. Yeah, about 45 minutes. Oh, come on, FTSE. Good grief. Three, five, one. Okay, so finally filled in the FTSE on a short. Again, I'm going to be managing it pretty aggressively. So the FTSE, I look for about 10 points. We'll see how far we can go. It gets to about 7 or 8 FTSE points, I tend to manage to break even. I'd look to be a buyer of the DAX at around 355. Yeah, I've been in the markets for years and I'm also still learning. There's always something new to learn. But the majority of my efforts now go to psychological. The edge has been proven. It's just working on the psychological side of managing the positions as best as possible. And some would say that's probably the most difficult aspect. Alright, so a bit of movement now in the FTSE, that's good. Looks like DAX is going to follow suit. I'm not going to re-enter, it's still pretty rangy. I think I'll wait. I'll wait for the next setup in the DAX. I'm going to decrease a little bit of risk here. Not a lot, just about that much. I'd like to see the FTSE again test these lows, these previous lows at about 88, 89, 88, somewhere around there. Let's see if the DAX actually breaks down now. So we got CPR releases in the US today, about an hour before open. So I will be trading that. Which means the US session will probably run a little bit longer today. So I'll be looking for rule of 4. That's about 1.5 down in the FTSE, but just got to remain patient. Alright, there's some nice movement in the FTSE. Come on now. Keep dropping. We'll start to look at moving stop loss soon. I'd look at probably 215 or so. Still feels very undecided, however. Almost as if it wants to come back into this range. So we'll let it play. And DAX is nasty today. Another day like that, perhaps. Just going to have a look at the US. That's obviously pre-market, but quite a big sell-off yesterday. We did recover quite well. So yeah, about 355 I'd look at being a buyer in the DAX. The only issue with that being the stop loss would be about 40 points. I think our FTSE is doing very well. Just playing around at our entry point. I'll start seeing the DAX rally a bit. Might see some strength in the FTSE, although the FTSE can do whatever it wants to do. It usually does. I'm going to set up on the long side here. But yeah, 355 I wanted to be a buyer. So FTSE takes us into profit and then back out of it again. Let's just let it run. Yeah, so this is another difficult part, is the patience. Difficult and often boring. You can break these lows. I'd be a little bit more confident in this short. They're going to be buyers here, I wonder. It's looking a bit better. So I'm glad now I didn't look at getting long there. That would have been disastrous. Alright, let's see if we got some follow through. Yeah, that's quite nice. Yeah, so I want to look at around 190. I'd also keep an eye on this level here, 196. But I'm talking ahead of time here. We still got to get down there first. We'll see if the DAX breaks down. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. What was your entry price? Looks like we're starting to turn around a little bit here. Hopefully just a small retracement before a further push down. Looks like the DAX is turning around as well. Yeah, so that's about as range bound as you get. I mean, look at that on the 30-minute. Definitely playing piano. $207. Okay. Yeah, good stuff. Well, let's hope we see a retest of these lows. The FTSE can have a bit of a nasty habit of rallying quite sharply. So I want to see a bit of a breakdown here so that I can start reducing risk a little bit further. I think if we can break this previous low, I'll look at moving the stop loss down. But we seem to be rallying here a little bit. The DAX I might look at setting up on the long side above these highs. I think probably around 75 or so, 375. Just for a look for a break to the upside. I'm gonna go ahead and put that order in now. So about 375. Come on, FTSE. Come on, sellers. We want to see a retest. So I think I'm going to decrease the risk here quite substantially. She's not doing exactly what I want her to do. So I'm going to bring it pretty close to break even. Let's go break even. If it turns around now, that's a pretty good indication that we'd see higher prices. So basically, if it breaks above this high now, I would imagine to see a break back into this range. But let's see if we get anything out of this push now. Okay, so it's risk-free at this point. We're about 7 points in profit. DAX is still not doing much. Yeah, I used to think the same thing. When I was working. Making somebody else rich. Okay, so it's break even now, or we see a test of these lows here at about, I'm going to call it 190 is where I would look. But we're struggling. Struggling to get down there. There seems to be a bit of lockstep between the DAX and the FTSE today. However, the DAX is caught in this range. There's a little bit more of a direction in the FTSE. But we weren't able to get back below the previous low on this bar here. So yeah, so I want to be out again. Like I say, if it gets back above this high, I would expect to see a push back up into the range. So stick with break even. That'll be 2 break-even trades so far, and in my book that's 2 winning trades. Anything you don't lose money on is a winner. Can't believe the DAX today. This must be a representation of America. Well, that's how I feel anyway. Whether or not it's true, I don't know, but Come on, go baby. So I was just playing around with a mark there. I had a T delivered. Oh, FTSE, FTSE, FTSE. Okay, so we've created our own little range here. So we've got this low of 199 and a high of 207. It looks as though we're going to test a high. Yeah, it's a really slow market today. I would be interested to see what the US is going to be like, with it obviously being the anniversary of September 11th. I'll be interested to see how strong the market's going to be. My God, DAX, that is unbelievable. So I guess, yeah, very similar to what we had pre-market yesterday. It was also just very, very, very range bound. See if we're going to break now. Alright, so this is the setup bar that we are looking at on the DAX. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cancel these pendings. But yeah, we've got an inside bar. And unless this one breaks, it'll be another inside bar. Alright, judgment time here, FTSE. Let's see if we can break these lows. Yeah, yesterday Nasdaq ripped me up. I could not get a read on the Nasdaq yesterday. I had a decent trade on the Dow, and then the Nasdaq just chomped me. Um, Luckily, I still walked away with a winning session, but it would have been so much better if I hadn't been whipped around by the Nasdaq yesterday. Good grief! I just could not get a read on it. So if you had two good trades on the Nasdaq, then sure, well done. Yeah, I think I took about 3 or 4 trades on the Nasdaq, and every single one of them just. But I think it was also a little bit of my fault because I could see the volatility, but I didn't manage the trades as I should have. I wasn't quick enough to get stops to break even. I was in profit on some of them. I just messed it up. I don't know where my head was at yesterday. Alright, so we're getting a bit of a breakdown now. Out of the DAX, we're still in this range. We've got to break these lows for it to mean anything really. And a nice little breakdown in the FTSE. That's about 10 points in profit on the FTSE. So the only problem with this being my setup bars, it's starting to be, although 27 points isn't too big of a range. I've still got about 10 minutes left on this bar, so. Okay, so looking down here at about 190, I wonder if we'll see new lows on the day. Probably go ahead and just lock in a little bit of profit here. That's very nice. So this is kind of the area where I'd look to take profit now. We may see new lows. But I expect a bit of a bounce off of this level, or just below it. See if we can squeeze a little bit more out. Yeah, so getting a bit of a bounce there. And one more push and I'll take some profit here, I think. A little bit more maybe. No, coming back. Okay. Yeah, so we're bouncing off this level. Um, I mean, you've got to be in two minds here because we can see new lows. I mean, for all we know, we can retest these lows here at like 170. So I guess it's just a case of, I mean, we break even with a bit of profit. Do we wait and see? I think this is a relatively substantial level here where we are. We've tested before in the past. Yeah, so I think I'd be happy taking profit here. Waited a bit too long. Yeah, so DAX is dumped. Hmm. I mean, 16, 17 FTSE points is nothing to be scoffed at. But yeah, around this 90 area, I think I'm going to take profit here. I'm going to close that out. So we could probably, may in all likelihood see new lows. But I think I'm happy with 16 FTSE points. It's not a bad day. We'll see in about 4 minutes what this setup bar, how it finishes. It's about a 47 point range candle. Not ideal. That's one of the things about being a breakout trader. You never know when it's going to break out and to what extent it breaks out. And if I look at my signals, on the first entry, if I hadn't moved my stop loss to break even, I would have been in purgatory for quite some time before this breakout. But that's just how it goes. Yeah, so I think if you haven't closed your FTSE, now would be the time to do it. I would imagine there being some buyers underneath this level. So we have seen new lows, and with that I would expect some profit taking and some buyers underneath that level, so we may see a bounce here. It could also just keep cascading down, but sometimes you don't want to take that chance. Okay, so we've seen the highs today in the DAX. I wonder if we're going to see new lows. Ah, good man. Yeah, that's You closed. Oh, good. No problem. No problem at all. Uh, could have gone the other way. So I'm glad it went our way. Yeah, so that's a nice breakdown now in the DAX. Bugger. It's a shame to see that, but money management rules, you know. If I hadn't moved my stop to break even on the DAX and left it running, it could have stopped me out for full risk. So rather just be safe. It's sad to see that, but it happens. Not the end of the world. There's still a lot of trading to be done today, so I'm not going to chase anything. Like I say, I've still got CPR later on today, which I'll be looking at trading, and then the US session. I would have traded the next setup, but this bar is a little bit too big. I want to see how it reacts off of this level. Here at about 260. I would imagine we would print new lows. So it looks as though the FTSE's still going. Looks like we're going to... Looks like we want to test previous day's lows. Also a bit of a shame, we could have held that a bit longer, but at the same time, it could have gone the other way. Alright, so branch breaker set up in the DAX for a short, but heavens, that's a pretty big stop loss. And to be honest with you, I don't know how much more it can run to these lows. Could, but get rid of these. I think if I was to trade this, I would... Yeah, 67 points. That's a big boy. I think I'll just set this one out. But it does look as though it's going to go lower. Probably below these lows. It's a shame I got stopped out for break even on that first entry. Oh well. Best not to think about it. Here comes the bounce, it looks like. I mean, the FTSE is poised for a nice little bit of a trend today. Yeah, so that's that bounce that I was a little bit worried about on this setup. Yeah, so it looks like a recovery across the board here. So on the 30-minute, we just took out these lows and now we are being pushed back up. So we're on our way to these lows here. In fact, we kind of got there. So, a bit of support there. Yeah, okay. I think that'll about do it for the EU session. So just the one trade. Two trades, excuse me. One break even and one 16.5 points. Unlucky there on the DAX, but it's the way that it goes. So I'm just going to cancel these others. And I will be back in a couple of hours for the CPI announcements. Trade a little rule of 4 there maybe. See what the setups look like. I have still got this pending order here. In the FTSE, it's a bit of a longer term hold. I might look at just adjusting this slightly to about 810. I was having a look earlier. I want to kind of get it right on this level. So Disco Star, great. Thanks for sticking around. Have a great day at work further, and see you later if I do. Have a good one. Alright, so yeah, that'll about do it. I'm gonna go do some research, do post-trade analysis, look at what I could have done better, journal it, and then be back for the US session later on. Great. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye now.